honesty.
Thanks for staying with us. You know, right here on the show every Thursday, we have our book review. And today, the author of the book we're reviewing is Grace Adetuyi. She has worked in HR for over 20 years and has published several articles, including a children's book and other stories. So today, the book for review will be Black or White. Hello, Grace. She'll be joining us via Zoom. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure having you on the show today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, with your experience in HR, one would never expect that you'd write a book that is sort of centered on a story. Right. One would think that if you're going to write a book, it would, be centered around, creating job opportunities, career. Yes. So what inspired you to write the book Black or White?
Okay. I would say the inspiration came from what I observed around me. I have been living in Ireland for the past, I would say plus or minus 23 years.
Okay.
And I have seen a lot of interracial relationships here in Ireland.
Okay.
And then it just popped in my head that, okay, if it happens here, if it happens back home in Nigeria? How would that pan out?
Right.
And that was what brought the idea to me. And then it started building from there. And answering your question about from HR to writing books, I would say I got a gift from my father. My father was late now, God bless his soul. And he was a writer, he was a teacher, a principal of many schools back home then in Nigeria. And I think I got the talent from him. I just find it easier writing in expressing myself than any other thing. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Now, the book, Black or White, actually tells a tale across two generations of women, the bond that they share. And it also talks about culture, color, and, how this relationship actually transcends both. Because we have a story of Eunice here who fell in love at a really young age to John, who was visiting his, to Patrick, who was visiting his brother in Nigeria at the time. So first off, let's lean in on the story of Eunice before we come to Lara, her daughter.
Eunice, in this case, is a relatable character. It's a young girl being brought up back home. You can imagine the setting of, let's say, 70s, 80s.
Right.
Back home, being brought up by a very religious, strict family.
Backgrounds,
Strict but loving family.
Right.
And who they were expecting, oh, this is a smart girl, she's going to grow up to be a doctor, she's going to pass all her exams and things like that. And boom, all of a sudden they found out that she was pregnant. You can imagine the standard then. I think the culture is shifting now, but then if a young girl, especially at that age, somebody waiting to do the WAEC or whatever, just finds out that, oh, she's pregnant, you can imagine the chaos in the family. The devastating news, it would seem as if someone died in that family,
right?
Before it starts easing out. So that exactly was the story of Eunice. She met Patrick, who actually just came to visit the brother who was a priest in their local church. And one thing led to another. They had a connection, and Patrick left, not knowing that the seed he sowed had germinated, so to say. And he was absolutely unaware of what was happening. And unfortunately, John, the brother, the connection, the person that would have been able to trace Patrick, had to, he was reassigned on another assignment. He left the country, and there was no way for them to get in touch. You know, these days it will be easier. You have internet, you have Facebook, you could search and look, but in those days there was nothing. So they couldn't locate Patrick, and she and the family just got on with their lives, and they raised Lara, which
Right.
was the fruit of the liaison, and on their own in Nigeria, in Ibadan, as the setting says.
Yeah, I mean, like you said earlier on, this story is very relatable because then we have, you know, cases of stories. I've heard stories of, you know, young women who, you know, fall into, you know, this sort of situation where they fall pregnant, you know, and then, you know, this young man who at the time cannot cater to them, you know, run off, and then they eventually have this child. And in the case of Eunice here, Lara was the offspring from her rendezvous with Patrick, who visited. Now, here is Lara. I wouldn't say, as much as she was raised in love, she was also a little confused of her, you know, background, where she came from, especially when her mother moved on to marry, you know, someone else and had two other kids, you know, from that union. So let's talk about Lara for a minute.
Yeah, Lara, an interesting character. Even though you know, it would be, she would have stuck out like a sore thumb, you know,
Right.
very like in half mixed race girl being raised in the local setting in
Right.
Ibadan. So everybody would look. She herself would know that, oh, I'm different from these people, and because of like we already agreed on the scandal, or so to say, in quotes now, of how she came about. You know, it would always be a hush hush thing. And you know, our culture, even though they might not say it to her face, I'm sure she would have been a subject of whispers anytime she passes by, you know. And but thankfully, she was raised in a loving environment, and that's how she was able to thrive. And she did well in school, and she was able to get a scholarship to, by faith, study medicine in Ireland, which happens to be the country of his father,
Of her father.
of her father rather. Sorry. So that's how interesting it might be, and there's a lesson here for us as parents, and
Right.
especially we Africans, that if a child, if a girl falls into this problem of getting pregnant, you don't throw away the baby with the
And the
dirty water.
bathwater.
You can,
Yeah.
yes, you can rehabilitate. You can bring up that child in a loving way, and it doesn't stop life from going on.
Right.
And so this is a very good lesson for us, that just because the daughter is pregnant, it doesn't mean that you just discard her and then discard the baby, and then the life goes downhill or southwards from that point in time. So it's not the end of the world, and good things can still come out of bad situations. So that's what the story is all about.
Right, and then you know, I like how, you know, the story ends, you know, at the end of the story of the book here, where
Yes.
Lara is eventually getting married, and you know, her mother, and you know, let's talk about that for a minute.
Oh, geez, that's like the
The
climax,
big
you
day,
know.
yes, that was the
Lara,
climax of the story.
yes, Lara came to Ireland, met a girl, met another man, an Irish guy, coming back home, in quotes, and she was getting married, and the mother had to come down to Ireland for the wedding. And incidentally, a day before the wedding, while they were running around for the preparations and things like that, the mother um, injured her ankle, and she had to be taken to the hospital where Lara worked. And incidentally, also, Lara had been working alongside her father, and she didn't know, and the father too did not know. because really there was no connection. This is like they would in Ireland see Lara as a black girl.
You know what, Grace?
Not
I'm just going to have to stop you there because I wouldn't want us to give away too many spoilers on the book.
The climax that we're talking about was when actually Eunice was taken to the hospital to get her ankle checked out.
Yeah, but I would like for people to go and get the book and read it, right? Because I love how it was beautifully written, very simply beautifully written. You know, I feel like it's for every age. It's a beautiful love story. It also brings, you know, to our consciousness, you know, how to raise our children right as parents, and, you know, also how to deal in difficult situations that we're faced with, especially with like how as Eunice, you know, in the story here. Thank you so much for sharing, you know, your book.
Can I quickly add? There's a sequel to that now. So
there is. Oh, fantastic. Okay.
And hopefully, I'm praying that it gets to become a movie in the nearest future by the grace of God.
Amen. From your mouth to God's ears.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All righty.
Thank you. I'm grateful.
All right. And that's all. That's it on our book chat segment. For now, we have our birthday shout-outs coming up very next. And we'll be right back, people. Stay with us.